All right, everybody, welcome back to the CrossFit Rife podcast, where we talk about the pursuit of health and happiness via CrossFit with all of our kick-ass members. We have one uber good dude here, Mr. Sam Pitts, fresh off defending freedom. Welcome back, good sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, man.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good. Lots of stuff to talk about, fitness in the military, special operations.
Sure.
Fitness with your spouse.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Just all the stuff.
Yeah.
If you are wondering where to find this content, eventually I will have them all published on iTunes. But you can find them all on our website and on YouTube in their full length format, in video format. So if you like it, watch it, share it, give us a comment. I would say give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, but it's not there yet. So, but anyway, welcome, bro. Thanks for your time, man. I know you're a busy dude.
Thanks for inviting me.
You have better things to do than hang out with me. Like
I'm
with your wife,
on leave right now, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how it is when you get back from deployment. You're got other stuff to do, so.
Yeah.
Cool. So give us a little bit of background about yourself. Who you are, what you like to do.
Okay.
Where you're from.
Sam Pitts.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously. From Colorado Springs, Colorado. Born in 1991, so that makes me 27 these days.
Okay.
Happily married. Coming on 7 years on Christmas Day.
You guys get married on Christmas Day?
Yeah. Which a lot of people are like, that's kind of weird, but it actually, double whammy, cuts down on the amount of presents.
Does it?
Per year. I think so.
I tried that once because my wife's birthday is New Year's, and I tried to dual gift.
That didn't work out.
No. Not. It was catastrophic.
So far for us, it works out.
Well, then I missed the boat on that one by 6 days. Yeah, I tried that once. Didn't work.
Yeah. So 7 years
well,
there.
I want to stay there. Well, we just went through 7 years too. Congrats.
Wow.
How do you get into? Where did you guys get married? Did you guys do a tradition? What kind of marriage?
We did a very small
Okay.
wedding right in my mother's backyard.
That's cool.
It was just nothing but our closest family members, candle lit.
Okay.
It was actually in the evening of Christmas Day, so there were Christmas lights everywhere. Everyone had candles. It was out in the snow. I was in dress blues.
In Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Nice.
In Colorado Springs. So it was probably one of a kind. You've probably never been to a wedding like that just because it was so small and special. Usually weddings, they have a venue, they have a procedure. In our opinion, they all kind of feel a bit same, but ours was pretty unique in that sense.
That sounds amazing. The reason I asked is because it depending on what anybody's particular vision of a wedding is. I was born Catholic, so you get married in the church.
Yep, absolutely.
But I'm like, man, you're not getting married in a church on Christmas. That's not happening. Nobody's even going to let you in the door that day.
Yep.
That's cool.
We're fortunate, yeah.
Where did you guys meet?
We met in Colorado Springs. We're not high school sweethearts, but we did go to high schools that were pretty close to each other by about 10 miles or so. And my dad actually met Abigail before me.
And he's like,
and
hey,
introduced
bro.
us.
He's
yeah.
like, hey.
And I came home on leave one year from the Navy, and she was having some her own issues with bad string of boyfriends or whatever. Yep. So kind of came in and stole the show.
Way to go, Dad.
I know, right?
Hooked it up.
Yeah, he did.
He's like, hey, man, you're going to want to meet this chick. Don't blow it.
Yeah. And they had a pretty good relationship before I even came in the picture. She worked at a restaurant. He was a usual customer there. So they were always talking. And they were pretty good friends by the time we had met. So
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's not the normal order of operations generally.
No, yeah, it was pretty fortunate.
Okay, that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So, when did you join the Navy?
2010.
2010.
February.
Okay.
To be specific. So I'm coming up on 9 years right now.
It's quick, isn't it?
When did you get out?
2000. Oh, I got out in 2015. So I got off active duty in 2015. Did when I say I did 2 years in the reserves, that is a loose statement. I was attached to a reserve unit for 2 years. Did not show up very often. It was kind of a goat rope. But yeah, commissioned in 2012. Or sorry, not 2012. 2004. Got out in 2015, and then 2 years in the reserves. Got out after that. Just kind of a waste of time. And then...
Why did you do the reserves?
Long story short, I had to because of the stipulations around my separation from the Navy. They're like, hey, you have to do some reserve time. And I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I didn't really want to be in the Navy, but I was like, it doesn't hurt to keep one foot in the door there. So I did it. Then they gave me the option because I got passed over for lieutenant commander again. And they're like, you can apply for retention or you can get out. And I said, thanks.
Were you going to stay in if you had got lieutenant commander?
No. At that point, no. I was in the reserves is a real wacky place for the Navy in particular. I was in the VTU, which stands for Voluntary Training Unit, which means you do not get paid for your reserve time. So
like your 1 week in a month, you don't get paid for that?
You get jack shit for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's totally super useful use of your time. And I was caught in a weird spot because at that point, I was in the gym full time and I was working for CrossFit. So I was having to forfeit work to go play Navy and just waste my time on the weekends. And I was just not cool with that. And yeah, so it worked out, but it was a painful 2 years.
Sure.
If you don't know your way around the reserves, it's like a weird. It's like walking through a labyrinth when you're drunk. Like nobody knows what to tell you. Nobody knows where you should go. Nothing makes any sense.
But
if you can,
awesome.
yeah, but if you can get it to, if I know some people that have like found like the sweet spot in the reserves, and they have like a really sweet gig. So it's not all bad. It's just not great for everybody. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
You know, learned a lot.
Look at you now.
Really. Yeah, there's worse jobs. Get to do a podcast and teach people the air squat. I've had worse jobs. Cool. So what's your athletic or fitness background growing up?
Zero.
Nothing.
I did zero sports growing up. I would go snowboarding.
I was going to say, living in Colorado Springs, I feel like that's hard to believe.
Can you call that like an athletic sport? I mean, you can.
I feel like snowboarding is pretty athletic.
Not in my sense. Like, I just go down the hill and have a good time with it. And that was far and few between. So between that.
Were you what you would consider active? Like, how much did you snowboard?
Yeah, I mean, I would go out with friends, go out bike riding all day, go skateboarding, go snowboarding. Like, that was my life, you know, but I wasn't serious about anything. We just did things recreationally, you know, had fun with it.
I mean, I feel like that's almost the best way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Not serious.
I mean,
but you're doing stuff.
That stuff I don't think it translated to any sort of like fitness realm today's day and age, you know? Like,
I don't know, man.
As a 27-year-old man, I still can't catch a football reliably, and I think that says something.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. But I do, however, think that there's some value into some of those, I don't want to call them extreme sports, but those fringe sports like skateboarding, snowboarding, skiing. I mean, there's definitely a certain amount of coordination and balance required to do those things.
Sure.
So, I would agree it does not translate to hand-eye coordination, but
I mean, it doesn't translate to, I mean, like the military in general, like that sort of
I guess
fitness
you never do that
functionality,
stuff.
like, yeah, kind of useless.
Okay. So then when you joined the Navy, was the fitness aspect hard for you?
I think it was a huge eye-opener, yeah.
Really? Because you're a pretty fit dude.
Stop. Thank you.
And you're handsome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stop. No, yeah, it was a challenge for sure. I didn't understand fitness at all or anything about it. I didn't understand the movements or even like perceived effort. You know, what I thought was hard or I'm putting out a lot of energy.
You're like, this is hard. What I'm perceiving is very difficult.
Yeah, and it's not until later in life you're like, well, that stuff is pretty easy. I just wasn't in the right mindset.
Was it more mentally challenging or physically challenging? Because there's a difference.
I think it was physically challenging, which led into a mentally challenging aspect. Like, I joined the Navy at 19, it's pretty young, didn't grow up being very active, so it was a little bit of a shocker.
Well, the culture shock alone is a lot.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're kind of in the skateboard, snowboard scene. And
yeah, absolutely. Like, there's a lot of team sports, kind of team-oriented mentality there.
Yes.
And that was like, that was definitely a big eye-opener for me.
It's very much what I would describe as a locker room culture.
Yeah.
Just a really big locker room.
Absolutely.
Filled with a lot of idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So did you have problems passing the PRT or anything?
So, you do the delayed entry program for the Navy.
I know what it is, but I don't know what the details are.
You basically, I want to join the Navy, and they're like, well, you're not going to get a contract, so we'll put you in this program for a little bit until you can get a spot. And so, the first, so the PST, the swim, the run, all that, pull-ups and whatever, that was, I passed it, but barely. So
you're basically hitting the minimums.
Hitting the bare minimum. So and that was probably 6 months before I left for boot camp. So once I left for boot camp, my numbers were bumped up, but still looking back on it.
You didn't have a contract from day one though, did you?
Well, actually, I depped in. I think I did a PST the next month, and they were like, yeah, we'll give you a contract.
Really?
So, yeah. I was really fortunate in that aspect. Denver, Colorado, the MEP station there, they must have been hurting for bodies to take this frail individual.
Yeah, you're in. Good. Get over here. So for those people who don't know, you are an explosive ordnance disposal technician. Mm-hmm. You've been in the EOD community for how long?
Graduated November 2012, so whatever that math.
How did you end up? So the other thing that most people don't know is that we worked at the same command together when we were both in the Navy.
Yeah.
But how did you end up there? Because you weren't.
Yep. So interesting story. Joined the Navy, got an EOD contract. In dive school, made a really foolish mistake. Probably not appropriate to say on a podcast, but did something that was very immature, and it cost me that opportunity. So got kicked out of the program, became an undesignated seaman, and was very fortunate to get stationed at the support unit with you.
Yeah, okay.
Not we talked a lot or anything, but
you worked in the same department.
Worked in the same department, got to meet a lot of great EOD techs. Do you remember Mike Wold?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he was a great mentor in my life at that point, and they were able to get me back on the right track. So, yeah.
That's a cool little life lesson.
It was a very fortunate life lesson that I ended up where I did. We're not, especially today's day and age, if you fail or you mess up, sometimes that can mean the world for a lot of people. And I was very fortunate that I could recover from those mistakes. So,
I'm no stranger to getting second chances, that's for sure. However, I do think that largely who you are as a person has a lot to do with that, right? So people make dumb mistakes all the time. I have a really long list of really just stupid decisions in my life. However, I do think if genuinely and generally you are a good person, people are willing to, I don't want to say overlook said mistakes, but they'll definitely understand and they'll give you a second opportunity.
Yeah.
Probably not a third, but they'll give you a second.
Yeah. Yeah, my life is full of second opportunities, for sure. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, and I think that's the key part of that is if you can learn from that and you can walk away with a certain amount of gratitude, then you got the lesson. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know why you ended up at the sport unit.
It's a
over there.
pretty infamous story, and I'm sure if you ask other EOD techs around, they'll.
I mean, listen,
they'll have a good version of it.
I've got a pretty infamous story. So infamous that the story, how much later was that? The story that was my story was told to me by another individual, a commanding officer that I worked for, told
Really?
me my own story about a guy.
Did you fess up to it?
I told him, I said, hey, sir, that's pretty accurate. Not completely accurate, but I know that because that said person was this dude.
Was that at the academy?
No, this was at the Supply Corps school.
Nice.
And he was floored. It was a pretty funny scenario. Listening to him tell me my own story, like third party, not knowing it was me, was hysterical.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It was great. Yeah. It was super funny.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, really? I just can't see it. I'm like, well, I've changed. New year, new me, sir. Yeah. So, I get it, man. I get it. That is an infamous story as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. So then you graduate EOD school in 2012.
That's right.
Okay, and then your first mobile unit is where?
Mobile 6.
They're here at this point.
Little Creek?
Yeah. Not when
yeah.
they're in Charleston. Yeah, because they moved in 2000 and
Jesus, that was a long time ago.
like 8 or 9 probably.
Yeah.
Maybe before that, maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wasn't
Okay.
around for that for sure.
Okay. Keg Busters, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Home of the Keg Busters.
That's right. Okay. So at this point, by the time you go to, what are you doing in that interim time when you're at the sport unit before you go to EOD school? Like as far as physical training, what does that look like?
Okay, so I think, do you remember Andy Cardell?
Yep.
Yep. So, you were kind of getting into this CrossFit thing pretty hard and heavy, and he was kind of interested about it. And Eric Swede, at the time,
Good old Eric.
he was like the fitness coordinator for ESU.
Yep.
And so I was briefly introduced to the CrossFit fitness industry. But for the most part, it was long cardio runs in the morning, and then we would go do meathead workouts, Andy and I, together in the afternoon. And that was pretty much my fitness at ESU.
And you get pretty fit like that, to be honest with you.
No, yeah. I showed back up to the pipeline. I felt like I was smoking dudes just from that training. So I was feeling good.
So obviously you were fitter, but do you think having trained a little bit harder in combination with a little bit of humility put you in an advantage when you went back through the training?
Yeah, having known what was ahead of me made me a lot more confident, made me be able to train to those scenarios. So, I showed back up. I was a horrible swimmer to start up with. Coming back, my swimming was, I cut like 2 minutes off my time, it felt like.
Yeah, when you say horrible, give me some context on
So,
that.
like,
what was your 500?
A 500-yard side stroke. Well, first of all, I was not a great side stroker. So I'd be swimming the breaststroke coming in at about 10:30. And then showed back
That's not
up.
terrible.
That's not terrible, but especially the breaststroke can burn you out for every other event. So my push-up
Yeah,
suffered,
you definitely
my
don't want to
pull-up
go.
suffered.
Yeah.
So coming back side stroke now, I would come in about 9 minutes flat, and now my
That's
push-ups
fast.
were better, my pulls were better, overall just a better athlete, I guess.
That's such a great stroke, man.
The side stroke?
Once you get it, you can just do that forever.
Dude, I can't do any other stroke. I swear to God, I'm faster side stroking than I am freestyling or anything. I'm just such a bad swimmer. But
It's just so
I like
it's
the side
such
stroke.
an efficient stroke.
Yeah.
And if you get really good at it, you can get fast. I mean, my fastest 500 was 8 minutes flat.
That's pretty good.
And I'm not like a great swimmer. I mean, I was a SAR swimmer. I was a SAR guy in the Navy, but
Oh, you
That
were
was
like
after-
the volunteer dude on the ship?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they sent me to SAR school when I was on my second ship. Yeah, on my second one. I had a blast at that school. That was great. Long hours in the pool, just swimming your face off.
What is that anyway? So do you go through with the normal dudes who are becoming air rescue, or how does that work?
No, so you have your surface guys and you have your aviation guys. The aviation guys are, so most of the technical aspects of being a rescue swimmer are the same. So like the test is all the same. You have to pass all of the same wickets. So like your rescue scenarios are the same. Those guys are a little bit different because they are specializing in basically air rescue. So in and out of the helo, stuff like that. So they go through a little bit more stuff with regard to technical knowledge and more training in the helo and dunker training and stuff like that. But the school of being a rescue swimmer is the same. You have to pass all the same tests. Like it's hard. I think we had like a 50% attrition rate in my class.
I've heard it's definitely a little bit kicking the dick.
If you're not comfortable in the water, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
And
which a lot of people are not.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some people, it's weird when you see people do some very odd things when they panic. Things that don't make any sense whatsoever.
You can have like the fittest looking guys, jacked dudes, and you get them in the pool and they're a completely different person. You can see a completely different side of them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I saw multiple people basically drown themselves because in their moment of panic, they would do something weird like spit their snorkel out, which is the only thing allowing them to do work underwater. And they would be coming up grasping for air, and you're just sitting there watch this, and you're thinking to yourself, man, just put your snorkel in your mouth, dude, and you will be fine. Like they're splashing water in your face. You're wearing a mask. Like none of this should actually be bothering you right now. But yeah, man, you see some people do some weird stuff.
Yep.
And there's certain things in there that are really weird. I have like a pretty decent breath hold, but if it's odd when you put yourself in certain positions underwater doing things you've never done before, holding your breath for 7 seconds feels like an hour.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Weird. I'm sure it's the same in dive school.
Yeah. You have those underwater tests you have to go through, and same scenario. Just depending on what you do, can seem a lifetime. But
so you start dabbling in CrossFit when?
CrossFit Rife. I guess.
After you're done with EOD school and everything.
So I'm done with EOD school. I have like this really bad stigma up my butt about CrossFit and what it means and the type of people who do it. So
you're a hater?
Oh yeah, I was a big time hater. At all. So.
Okay.
I still wasn't doing.
There's somebody else that I want to get on the podcast that I know for a fact was a CrossFit hater and is now all about it, which I think is great. So you're a hater.
Yep.
Why do you come in the gym?
My wife, Abigail.
That's right. She was here first.
She took this. I'm so proud of her. I'm so impressed with her. She took this huge leap of faith. I don't even know why she came to Rife exactly, but
I need to have her on the podcast too.
She was like, she just did it. She just sent it, and she came here and she loved it. And I would even talk to her about how much of a hater I was, and she'd be like, "Babe, you don't even understand. Like, you need to come. You need to try it out. It's unlike anything you ever thought it would be." And she was right.
That's cool. She was a big time runner. Still is kind of, I guess.
She kind of hurt her knee a little bit. But she did a 50K. Actually, like 30, she joined Rife.
32 miles.
32 miles. She joined Rife, and I think like 2 months later, she kind of pulled back a little bit so she could focus on her training for the ultra. But yeah, she loves running for sure.
That's cool. So that's always a very interesting little scenario with the spouse to spouse and training and what that looks like and who starts and then how it works and then do they both do it? Does one of them do it? I've seen it unfold every possible way you can imagine.
Yeah. Were you and Jess like both of you were big time into fitness when you met?
No, I don't think we were both big time into fitness when we met. We were both prior athletes. So CrossFit was a very natural transition because I think to us, it felt like training again. It felt like going back to practice.
Yeah.
And when you do that until you're 24, it's and then suddenly you don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
There's a void there. And I would tell most people that largely the void is not the training. It's the community aspect, the getting in a room with a bunch of people and doing some common things. So that was the big draw for us. And it was physically challenging for two of us who are both what I would describe as pretty good athletes. It was challenging. There was a lot of failure points there. So
yeah,
that
you were
was
both
intriguing.
D1, right?
I played D1. She played D3.
Okay.
She could have played D1 though. I think she was choosing the military route. So there's not a ton of options there that are D1, but she went to the Merchant Marine Academy. And she actually found it. She pulled me in too.
Really?
We went together, but she's the one that found it and pulled me in, and then we went. So that's how that started. But how long was she here before you came in? Do you remember? Abby.
Maybe about a year, maybe a little bit less, maybe not
that long.
Man, maybe I don't know, 6
her.
months to a year. I don't even remember. I don't know how long she's been here. I think I'm at like a year and a half at Rife.
She's for sure over 2 years.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has crushed it, man.
She's made fitness gains like I didn't even think she could.
Just in a lot of areas.
I don't even think she thought she could, like, mentally.
Oh, I know she did. Yeah, I mean,
squat, her deadlift. She's rope climbing now.
Doing pull-ups.
She actually got her first kipping pull-up the other day and just got off the bar and was just super nonchalant about it.
Yeah, she's trying to hide it now because now she knows that we know. And there's no more scaling the pull-up anymore.
Yeah.
No, and then she really just started maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, started crushing the rope climbs.
Yeah.
Like where she's like getting up the rope and then coming down, because we just had her scale them and do one on most days. I'm like, just do one rope climb and then move on.
Yeah. And it's all about
good.
technique. Once you get it, like, it's so easy at that point.
Yeah, and that's a tough one because conceptually it's pretty simple, getting your feet on the rope. But then when you go try to do it, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So then when you come into CrossFit, what did you think it was? Why were you a hater? Let me rephrase the question.
I was probably a hater because why are most people haters?
It's a good question.
I think
This is meta.
I don't know. People just hate CrossFit for some reason. They think it's like this super dangerous, high intensity, 100% all the time workout that has like zero benefit, I feel like. And like that's probably where I was. I was like, I can get a good workout somewhere else, you know. And I didn't understand the wow. Like when you pay for a CrossFit gym, the community, the competition, the coaching, there's so many other things I wasn't even aware about. Like you can't get that on your own at a gym. And probably day one, I was like, done with the haterade, all about CrossFit.
That's cool. It's funny you say that. I was, yesterday I was at the other location at North End, and there were some guys that came in. They were Canadian military. I think they were Canadian Special Forces. Super good dudes. But you know, when that type of individual walks in the door, you have a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with and what they do for a living. Mm-hmm. It's not their nobody in any of those communities is as slick as they would like to think they are with regard to blending into the community, blending into the. But they were great. They were here for training for something, and there was one guy who, I mean, he's a thick dude. I mean, he's just like. He's a lumberjack. Mm-hmm. And after the class, he comes up to me and he's like, listen, man, he's like, I don't normally do CrossFit. You know, the boss over there does CrossFit, so I do CrossFit. Occasionally, we kind of do our own thing. And he's like, but I've never been in a class until today. And he's like, I see the value of like you teaching me things and giving me tips and tricks and doing this. He's like, I might be sold.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I think I'm always trying to figure out like why people dislike CrossFit. And there's a ton of different reasons. I think there's this CrossFit's now the other way, right? So before it used to be this, it was the anti-fitness protocol. So people are like, then it was cool.
Yeah.
But now that it's more mainstream,
Yeah.
there's all these people on the outside that are like, no, I'm anti that because now it's mainstream. So they're just people that just don't want to conform or be a part of anything that is mainstream for no particular reason.
Sure, yeah.
And it's funny to, or people are just like, I don't need that. And I'm like, okay, then don't do it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so then how do you do anything else besides CrossFit now when you train?
No. So, well, I just got back from deployment.
Mm-hmm.
I went into it thinking, I was like, dude, I'm going to CrossFit every day. I'm going to snatch this much. I'm going to clean and jerk this much coming out of it. I didn't do CrossFit at all on deployment.
Just because of the work cycle?
It was like 120 degrees during the day. Everything was outdoors. And I was like, I got more into lifting.
I don't like fitness that much.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool, but I got more into like heavy lifting. We were doing a lot of sports. Started doing a little yoga, probably like 4 times a week. And all of a sudden, in my mind, that kind of became CrossFit in its own way. Where like no one event was like a CrossFit type workout, but it was CrossFit all day, like lifting, yoga, sports. Like to me that is CrossFit.
You were just training them all separately.
That's right,
rather than putting them together, which is fine. I mean, I'm not even against that. I think everybody goes through these different stages where you're just like, man, it is what it is. I'm just going to get one aspect of my fitness and attack that right now because that just makes the most sense. So yeah, I don't know how fun doing Fran in 120 degrees would be.
Dude, so like 2 weeks we get there, and 2 weeks into it, I decided to do Murph. And it's
kit and everything.
Yeah, kit and everything. And it was my first time doing Murph, and everyone at Rife is like, if you don't do it on partition, you're a freaking loser. So
what? I gotta talk to some people. That's the
mentality.
That is not.
If you break it up, you're not. In my opinion.
I think that's
how I've been cultured from the people here. If you don't do it like that, then
that is not accurate. We never say that. Now,
I'm just telling you how
there might be some members that said that, but the staff here is definitely not saying that because it doesn't matter. You just get it done.
Dude, yeah, it was definitely like it was one of the hardest workouts I've ever done.
You did it 100, 200, 300?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the worst way to do it.
We did it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was still like 110 out. It was just.
How long did it take?
It took me 56 minutes.
That's still pretty good.
But the whole time I was trying to beat Nicole was my like goal, and I don't know how fast she did. She did in like 45 minutes or something, I think.
Coach Nicole?
Yeah, Coach Nicole. Yeah.
I only ask because there's a couple of different Nicoles in there.
There's a ton of Nicoles.
I mean, 56 minutes is only 1 minute off of the cap at the games.
Oh, they do.
It's 55-minute cap at the games when the 2 years that they did it.
Jeez.
And it was not 1120 degrees there.
I mean, it wasn't that hot when I did, but it was fucking.
It was over 100. It's the internet, man. You can say whatever you want. Cockballs. It was over 100 degrees.
Yeah, it was so.
That's hot, dude. That's hot in kit.
Usually, like body weight squats, I can knock them out pretty quick. And I was probably doing one squat every 5 seconds. I was so exhausted.
Well, when you have to bite off on 300, you're probably at a decent pace for about 50, and then the reality of the additional 250 sets in, and then your mind turns to mush.
I went into it and I was like, I could probably get 300 done in 5 minutes. That's what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm still on track to beat Nicole right now, and 5 minutes I'll be done with it. No, like 20 minutes later, I'm still knocking them out.
God.
It was so bad.
Oh, that's great. 5 minutes for 300 squats. Yeah, there was a guy that did it. I forget I'm going to butcher the actual parameters of this guy's undertaking, but I think he did it like once a week or once a month for a year or something like that. So he did it every possible way that you could do it. And what he found was the fastest, most efficient way to do it is 5, 10, 15.
Yeah, 20
But
rounds of Cindy.
Yeah, he did it unbroken. He did it 5, 10, 15. He did it 10, 20, 30. He did it like a dozen different ways.
Yeah.
And I think he did it backwards.
Yep.
And the fastest way every single time is 5, 10, 15.
Yeah, no doubt. It turns into a much easier workout, I think.
Unpartitioned is hard. I do, however, think that 10, 20, 30 might be harder.
I could see that. Yeah.
Because you can break it up, but you're not breaking it up. It's weird. So those sets are actually pretty big.
Yeah.
When you have to do that many rounds. You have to do 10 rounds of that.
Yeah.
And those sets are just enough to really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But not big enough to where they put you at a complete standstill. Mm-hmm. So the break actually allows for like a little bit higher intensity with higher volume, and those 30 squats are devastating.
Yeah, sure.
When you do it that way.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you find when you took that break, when you were, I don't want to say break, but like a break from traditional training?
Yeah.
Do you feel when you came back? How did you feel? Like when you got back, your training. So you're like, I don't know, 4 days into your return here. Like, do you feel unfit?
No, to be honest, like I kind of feel a lot better. I think, like I think I was trying to stay away from like heavy lifting because I've injured myself in the past. I don't think I was really educated about it or on how to do it, proper body positioning and stuff like that. But like having just done 4 months of heavy lifting and some other athletics in between, like I'm coming back. I feel strong. I feel good. Like I was knocking out ring muscle ups the other day, and I haven't touched the rings in 6 months, but I've been doing nothing but weighted pull-ups and weighted dips. Like my body just feels
seems
good
reasonable.
Right now. So,
were you doing that much stretching and mobility work before, or is that like the most intense time period of like regular yoga and stretching that you've ever had?
No, yeah, probably. Yeah, we were doing 4 days a week of yoga. And
what was a yoga session consist of? Like a ROMWOD or like a full 1 hour yoga session?
Like, yeah, your typical yoga session, not like hot yoga or getting smoked or anything like that. Just going through vinyasas and stuff and different static positions and working on flexibility. So I was feeling good. My back was feeling good.
I tell you what, man, the longer you coach, the worse you get about this. I don't know why it doesn't make any sense because, like, you know better. Mm-hmm. But, like, the longer you coach, particularly as a gym owner, you tend to not do warm-ups and not stretch and not take care of your
before
body.
your own sessions.
Yeah, you just get busy, man.
It's so dumb.
It is dumb.
Why do you do that?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. It's like you get busy, and fitness is not necessarily my priority. However, like it is mandatory. So sometimes it sounds dumb, but like I may not have the full hour. I may have enough time to get like a 5-minute really abbreviated warm up in and then go. However, I'm a big fan of yoga and ROMWOD or anything.
What is ROMWOD?
So ROMWOD is a program that some guys developed. Like you can get a subscription online. It's basically I don't want to say a soft version. It's a CrossFitter's version of yoga, but it's abbreviated, right? So it's 15 minutes, and that 15 to 20 minutes, and that 15 to 20 minutes is largely devoted to what we would consider CrossFit-specific positions that target largely hips and knees.
So kind of like the elbow to instep.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff and prolonged holds in those positions because we spend a lot of time there. So it is great. It's also great because I like the fact that they prioritize a lot of forward folds and flexion because we spend so much time in extension. I think it's a huge a huge plus for people to do that, even if you did it once a week for 20 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
And the best I ever felt was when I was doing that, like twice a week. That's it, twice a week. But it just makes your body feel so much better. It's so much easier to get in positions, and you don't feel achy. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of all that stuff, dude. So, having told me what you were doing, like, I'm not shocked that you feel really good.
Yeah. Now I'm coming back. Abby's doing freaking like 4 or 5 days of hot yoga, and she's. Wow. Have you ever been to Torch?
I have not personally been there, but I've heard many, many stories. So Torch is a local yoga studio that quite a few of our members go to, and the stories are almost frightening. They're just like, it's brutal.
Like I was coming back, I was talking shit to Abby, and I'm like, I'm gonna smoke you in yoga. I was actually like thinking about getting my yoga cert. Like I was feeling good. I was like on my positions.
You were gonna be a yoga instructor.
I'm not even joking. I was that.
That's cool.
I'm still into yoga like that, more for like the mental aspect, but
I get it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna smoke you at Torch, and then Jackie Blackburn. She came out and she was kind of letting me know, like, Sam, Torch is not what you think hot yoga is. She's like,
oh, you guys had turned over.
Yeah. She came out to relieve me.
That makes perfect sense, although I don't know why I didn't put that together.
But, yeah, dude, I think I've done 3 sessions so far at Torch, and each one is just...
Did you cry a little bit?
No, I didn't cry, but it felt like it. Like there's just drool and snot coming out of your face, and you can't breathe. It's so... And I'm coming from where it's hot. And so I'm like, hot yoga is going to be easy. It was not easy. It's so miserable in a good way, though.
That's a dry heat, though, out there, man.
It is, yeah. And there's a breeze in that room. You can or you're just breathing this hot air.
I've been experimenting with just trying to get into sit in the sauna once a week for 30 minutes. I've been doing a lot of reading, and I think there's a lot of value to that, right? So I'm a big fan of
to the sauna.
Yeah, just to heating the core temperature, but not doing exercise, right? Just like heating your core temperature, a lot of sweating, but nothing to do with exertion.
So you're telling me there's benefit behind that? Because I feel like I've done a fair amount of research on like saunas and that sort of stuff. And
I'm not saying this as fact. I think there's a lot of anecdotal evidence.
Okay.
So I'm just doing it like as a self-experiment.
Okay.
And but also I've kind of found it to be somewhat therapeutic.
Sure.
So I go in there and I just sit because there's very few times throughout the day where I can sit uninterrupted with my own thoughts. Like I am constantly engaged in an interaction with a member, an interaction with a coach, an interaction with a prospective client, producing content, typing an email. Always something. So when I go in there, you're probably not going to do a whole lot of work.
Yep.
Sitting in the sauna.
So it's like meditation.
Kind of. So I'll go in there, and the beauty is I literally go over to base because they have a sauna in the gym over there.
Yep.
And the best part about the sauna is there is no cell phone reception in there.
Yep.
So I will go in there and I'll sit in there for 30 minutes, and I don't want to say I'll journal, but I'll just like jam thoughts into my notes on my phone.
Oh, you bring your phone in there?
I do, because I turn on like I guess it would be considered meditative music. Just relaxing.
Okay.
Jess thinks I'm a psychopath because I really struggle with silence. I just it actually is unnerving to me. Yeah, I always have to have something going in the background, not like chaotic noise, but I really struggle with silence.
I think you're a psychopath for bringing your phone in there. Aren't you worried about how like that heat is going to damage that technology? Like,
oh, I don't care. I mean, I'll just whatever. If it breaks, I get a new one. Like, I've got insurance on it, but it's not going to.
You're a wild man.
I know. I live life on the edge, Sam.
Jeez.
Yeah. I get the therapeutic side of it. That's cool. I think everybody needs some aspect of that in their life.
Yep.
So I kind of have it in 2 places. I try to read in the morning. 10 pages. Ugh. 10 pages a day.
Ugh.
That's my thing. That's my shtick. 10 pages, everybody, do it. And then I found this too, and it's just a way for me to get out of here because I'm here.
Oh, the podcast.
No, the sauna piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the sauna piece. This, however, is incredibly It could be therapeutic, the podcast.
I feel like you have a lot on your chest that you just kind of want to get off. You know, I feel like you're just looking for a medium to express your feelings.
That's probably not inaccurate.
No, I'm 100% serious. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I'm not joking around here.
No, I believe you. Well, that's why I write the Wednesday emails too.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a good way to
That is
decompress.
therapeutic. That is my form of journaling.
Therapeutic and rewarding.
That is my form of journaling. This, however, full disclosure, this is two parts. It is probably 50% selfish because I just genuinely enjoy talking to people. Mm-hmm. And there is not one time I've sat on this podcast and not learned something about somebody that I didn't already know.
Sure.
That was a double negative. I want to make sure that made sense. Those are sneaky. Yeah. And then the other part is, we're trying to create content to distribute to people who are afraid of CrossFit or who are CrossFit haters or who are whatever, and just highlight the members, so, you're not incorrect, but thanks for judging me.
I'm not judging. I'm glad to see. I'm happy to see other people happy, and you seem happy.
Have you always been like that? You're a pretty happy dude.
Me?
Yeah.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
People think I'm mean and cold.
Well, that's different. People think I'm mean too, but I'm a very optimistic person. But a lot of people think I'm very like stiff.
Yeah, I'm emotional as fuck.
In what sense?
Like, I never used to be the type of dude to watch a joyful movie and tear up. But, like, watching a movie where someone succeeds at something makes me cry like a baby. I get, like, I'm so empathetic. There's just something
That's
about
great.
it. To see other people happy makes me happy. And, like, I feel a lot of emotion all the time. I'm, like, overly emotional. I'm going through menopause or something. But yeah.
So that begs the question: is that one of the aspects that you enjoy about CrossFit?
Is watching other people happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching someone PR or just have a great workout and feel good about themselves, that makes me happy. Yeah. Or to watch Abby Pitts a lot. Like, I have a lot of emotion for that woman, and to watch her succeed and make herself better, that makes me happy. Yeah.
I think CrossFit Gym is a unique environment where in most, good CrossFit gyms, there's just a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of good stuff going down on a daily basis. Like, somebody's doing something for the first time every day.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which is really cool to see.
Yeah. You've built an awesome gym for sure. It's probably one of the nicer CrossFit gyms I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's spacious, it's open. I mean, when I first came to Rife, it was not nearly what it is now.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you've built something here. I think it's really cool.
It is definitely a work in progress and has evolved over time. But yeah, I appreciate it. That is the goal.
Yeah.
It's not done, but that's the goal. I want it to, to feel that way. I want it to feel homey and cool and,
Yeah.
Like
this room is actually really cool. I didn't know.
I love this room.
Did
This
you just
is-
like pull this wood from like pallets and stuff?
Yep.
That's awesome. I love
Yep.
that look.
Free. The hardest part about doing pallet walls, everybody, is breaking up the pallets. That is the hardest part. Once you get them all broken up, and it's as long as you've got like a table saw, it's a quick cut, nail, cut, nail, cut, nail. It's quick.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, but the hardest part is a damn jigsaw and breaking the pallets apart. Yeah, this room was a disaster when we moved over here. It was just like this weird little dungeon. But yeah. All right, cool. So what you got anything you're working on, like any goals with regard to fitness? Are you going to run a marathon? Are you going to do anything like that?
First of all, no. I hate running.
That's
With
interesting
a passion.
because you're really good at it.
That's probably one of the better things in my life. And not like I'm good at it, but I'm okay at running,
No, you're pretty good at it.
but I hate it with a passion so much. I don't
too.
enjoy it at all.
Me too.
And CrossFit has made me faster at running, even though we don't run as often as, like, I don't know, someone training to actually get faster and, like, running 3 or 4 times a week. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird there, but no, I'm not. Well, we're moving here pretty soon.
I know, I'm bummed.
So that's the next chapter in our lives. That'll be
When are you guys leaving
what we
again?
focus on, April.
We got some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? What's the next project in the Fern's life? Probably the next baby.
Yeah, so that's coming up quick. Baby number 2 in March. And then, just working on the 2 gyms, working on some other stuff.
How is North End anyway?
It's good. We're working on trying to finish the damn shower project over there so we can get that done and up. But then once we're done with that, I'm done with projects over there for a hot minute.
And what, Cassidy runs everything over there?
No, I'm over there almost every day. I'm over there at least 4 times a week. I kind of split my time over there, which can be tough because I'm trying to split my time in a manner that nobody really notices, which is virtually impossible. But yeah, I coach over there. I would say probably 5 to 6 times a week, like classes, 5, 6 classes a week.
I don't even know where it's at.
Birdneck and Laskin, like right off of 264. So if you get off the Birdneck exit going towards the ocean front, you take a left right there. It's in that shopping center right there.
Okay.
Smaller than this. So it's interesting for me. That's kind of like going back in time.
Yeah.
Because it's
The first
very
Rife.
similar, to where we were in Unit 108 over there.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting in that regard, with regard to size and how we did things then, but also interesting because I have the luxury of whatever that is, 5 years of experience since we were in that space over there.
Yeah. The Fern now is 10 times better than the Fern then.
Yeah,
Sure.
which is not saying much, but it was not very good back then. But yeah, it's good, man. I think we're right where we should be. All things considered, that's not an easy process.
Are you guys done with this? Like, are you expanding anymore? Or
No, the plan is not to expand here. We're gonna redo some stuff over here on the weightlifting side. That's probably like our last big project with regard to the space. I would like to have somebody come in and paint the ceilings. Not in here, but in the gym, like a flat black on the ceilings, just to cover up some of the ceiling stuff. But I think honestly next year we'll be done with all of the equipment stuff. We don't really have that much more to do with the exception of ski ergs. But after that,
someone had mentioned today new ropes. I think Adrian was saying.
we do. Of course, it was Adrian. Yeah. Of course. Adrian's always the first one to point out that
Dude, there's something to learn from that woman, which is like
I don't know what it is.
you should be able to speak your mind.
Well, hey, I do feel like
I think
we're
she's a
pretty
good role model for sure.
No, she's great.
Yeah.
I give her a hard time because she's a bit cray-cray, but no, I love Adrian to death, and she's a perfect example of what CrossFit can do for somebody.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, her story is incredible.
She works her ass off. She can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but she knows that, so it's not a secret. But that's why we love her. But I think that's legit. Actually, the ropes have probably run their life cycle, so that actually needs to go back into the list of things I need to get done. It's at some point you have to acknowledge that you're never done, but it just switches from getting new stuff to upgrading or replacing old stuff.
Yeah,
and
now you're just in maintenance phase.
Yeah, there's a natural life cycle for most of that stuff, and some of it is longer than others. None of it is timely.
Yeah.
With regard to expenditure, so. So the ski ergs is the last big influx of stuff. Probably 2 or 3 more assault bikes.
That'd
But
be cool.
I want to get to the point where I could. I have at least 10 erg, or rowing erg, assault bike, and ski erg. So that way we would have the ability to do 5 monostructural movements. So we could run, we could row, we could bike, we could ski, we could do double unders.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and it really allows us to keep a lot more variance within the programming, because inevitably you get tired of biking or rowing, and then, being able to switch it up a little bit more. But the masochist in me really just wants to be able to program a workout that is just all 5 of those things.
That'd be awesome.
No, you like the 333, but with all 5 of those. So so it was a games workout. It was 3,000 meter row, 300 double unders, 3 mile run. Yeah, it's gross. It might be like the Cinco. Cinco might be like 500 or something like that. So 5,000 meter row, 5,000 ski erg, 500 double unders, and a 5 mile run or something like that, and a 500.
That would be a fun little. That takes some time, but man, that would be fun.
Oh, that would
be like
the way I envision it. It'd probably be at least a 2-hour evolution just to complete it all.
That'd be cool.
It'd be terrible. So
yeah, it would hurt.
It's coming, everybody. Get ready. Cool. All right, man. I want to be respectful of your time. So a couple questions, and then you've already asked me a couple questions, but you can ask me anything you want after that.
Whoa.
Anything. Wow. Yeah, so chew on that for a second. Are you a podcast or book person?
I love podcasts.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this might take more than a couple minutes. What podcasts are you listening to right now?
Big fan of Radio Lab. You ever heard about that?
No, what's that about?
I don't even really know how to put it. They just kind of find some
just
like
random thoughts,
cool futuristic technology or current events, and kind of put a different spin on things. So.
But it's like real world technology.
Yeah.
It's not like fiction.
I mean, and it's not even technology sometimes. Sometimes it's just, dude, I don't even know how to really talk about it. Like right now, or they just finished a special on the border, or like,
got it.
And sometimes it's political, sometimes it's science, sometimes
it's more just, I don't want to say current events, but like kind of current events.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do a really good spin on it.
Radio Lab.
Okay.
Okay.
It's definitely it's cool, man. I like it.
It's going in the queue.
It's different. So
is it educational?
Oh yeah.
Is that how you keep up on the news?
I wouldn't say I keep up I don't use
not
it
intentionally,
to, like,
but is that how you stay informed for the most part?
Yeah, maybe in a way. Yeah, I mean sometimes they like are able to relate things that happened 100 years ago, and you start to maybe they'll tell a story as to why we do things a certain way, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, no episode is ever the same, so it's really hard to put on like what they are and what they do.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah,
I like that variety.
Yeah,
because I find that certain podcasts, like you're like over it after a while. Yeah. You're like, it's the same shit, man.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping never happens to this podcast, but
yeah. But yeah,
that's what makes interviews interesting, though.
Yeah,
because it's always different. Like everybody has a different story.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing. Another podcast I love, Moth Radio. You ever heard of the Moth Radio Hour? On NPR?
Nope.
I'm not a huge NPR fan.
I used to be. I'm not so much anymore.
But people just get up on stage, live events throughout the country, and they tell stories, personal stories.
Real stories, or
real stories, and like talk about getting emotional. Like you could be listening to a mother whose son is going through chemo or something like that, or like a dude who ran 250-mile race or something. He goes and tells his story about it,
like what it was like to do that.
Yeah. And it's like, again, all stories are different, and
that's cool.
Really cool event. So
okay,
I'd like to go live sometime, Abby Pitts, if they ever have one here.
Birthday present. Christmas is coming up, and after that's Valentine's Day. Okay, do you read books?
No. Nope.
Okay, that's cool. So I always like to ask. I'm always trying to steal stuff from people.
We did His Needs, Her Needs over deployment here.
Because who's we? He said we. Did you guys listen to it as a team?
Well, I think Abby actually read it, and I listened to it.
It sounds like a relationship book.
It is a relationship book. It's like one of the more established ones, I guess.
I never heard of it, but I'll put it in the queue.
Yeah. I don't know. It actually had a lot of good information, like for my team at the time, being the 1st the leading petty officer, the dude in charge, like it was actually gave me a whole different perspective on how like I was treating my guys, how they perceived that treatment, and like putting, love coins in their love bank, so to speak. And it kind of had me like, okay, well, maybe I need to change some things up to get these guys to have a different mindset, to be more successful and better prepared for their future. So,
Do you think it worked?
I do. Yeah, I do think it worked.
That's cool.
However little, but maybe I like to think.
But I think that's the whole
something
concept,
changed.
right? And I haven't read the book, but I think I could summarize it somewhat, which is like the point is you have to make contributions to that bank.
Yeah.
No matter what size the contribution is,
Yep.
the point is consistent contributions to that.
Yep.
Creates a habit, which then creates equity
Yep.
in your relationships and stuff like that.
That's
So,
right. And like those negative experiences can take from
To
that
withdraw.
bank. So that was a whole nother like, oh, okay, yeah. If they're just fulfilled with, or if they're filled with negative experiences of sand pits, and then
Yeah.
eventually they'll come to, together I'm a negative, like, negative thought in their brain
Yeah.
because I'm just
No,
full of negative experiences, but-
that's interesting, and it's cool to hear. I always enjoy when people. I think that's a pretty, again, I think that's a pretty meta discussion about like, who am I to other people? What am I contributing to other people's lives? Like, what is my relationship with those around me? Am I giving or am I taking? Like, what does that look like?
Yep.
And I think it's cool because I've been through that in multiple iterations and continue to go through that all the time where you have like those light bulb moments, I think, where you're like, hey, you realize you're doing something that has an effect you were not aware of.
Yep.
And then you're like, ugh, damn it.
Yep.
How do I fix that? So, no, that's cool. Okay. His needs, her needs, or her needs, his needs?
His needs, her needs.
His needs, her needs.
His needs come first, obviously. Men rule.
Clearly.
So
Clearly. I'm sorry for all the feminists out there. It's science. It's science. Okay, cool. All right, so you get to ask me any question you want, unless you asked them all already. Doesn't even have to be about the gym.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I like to throw this one at friends sometimes just to see what
it's
they
gonna
got.
be good.
What are your top 5 negative qualities about yourself? Your top 5 negative characteristics.
Number one, and I'm always trying to come to grips with this because there are good aspects of it, but I'm selfish. I can be stubborn, although I'm getting much better at it. Those are for sure the two. What else? I can be judgmental. I am, however, getting better at that as well. So I would say, like, as a young man, like, all of those were pretty high. Like, very selfish, very judgmental. But they're gradually coming on a downslope. I wouldn't even say gradually, like, pretty rapidly, I think. I can be a little bit, I don't want to say flippant, but
It's an interesting word.
yeah, I can be cavalier with some people's struggles. So I do think I'm more empathetic than a lot of people. However, sometimes I struggle to empathize with other people for certain things. And I struggle with sometimes, is that okay? Because in a lot of scenarios, I do think it's okay, and I don't necessarily think that everybody deserves empathy.
It's pretty harsh.
That's the struggle, right? Is that, like, I'm empathetic, but I don't necessarily have sympathy for you because in some scenarios I would look at it and say, well, that's you did that to yourself. Like nobody actually did that to you. And your failure to acknowledge your culpability and your personal situation is actually what's keeping you in that scenario.
Yeah.
So I struggle with that sometimes. And then I don't know what the fifth one would be.
And maybe there are only 4.
I'm sure there's 5. I'm impatient. There's the other one. There's 5. I'm impatient from a micro standpoint. However, I think I'm incredibly patient from a macro standpoint. Like I'm okay for this vision taking 25 years. I'm, however, not okay with those napkins being there for 2 days. So those are going in the trash. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
you know what's really interesting there? For all 5 of those qualities, you had caveats to each one. And I'm not sure what that says about you as a person, but I think that's kind of interesting that each negative quality had a
so this is the and I think about this a lot. And I think because I don't think every negative quality is only negative. Like I think every quality has some degree of positive to it, which is always situationally dependent.
Sure.
It depends on how you apply it. It's all relative.
Yep.
Like being selfish, for instance. I do not think that being selfish is a good quality. However, I do think that in order to be able to be selfless, that does require some degree of selfishness. Because fundamentally, you cannot give what you don't have, right? So if I am not emotionally stable and I am not physically healthy and I am not working on myself as an individual, which all require selfish tendencies, I cannot give back to other people. I will not be in a healthy state physically, emotionally, or mentally in order to do that. So it's constantly balancing that, like, okay, I'm working on myself, but not so much that I'm doing it to the detriment of my relationship with my wife or my daughter or or the coaching staff or stuff like that. So I think every one of those scenarios, there is an internal dichotomy involved with each of them, that there is a push-pull that you only need enough, so.
Interesting.
I think that's why there's the caveat, because I do struggle with, like, there are good scenarios for all of those.
Yeah.
If applied with proper intent.
Sure.
So I don't know if that makes me naive or, I don't know.
I don't know what it makes you either.
I don't either. But those are all questions that I ask myself regularly. I'm aware, but I'm also aware that they're not all bad.
Yeah.
They're bad when taken to the extreme. So, I also don't know if that is correct or not. So, I don't have all the answers.
Oh, it's cool. That's cool. You were able to come up with 5 right off the top of your head like that.
I think about them a lot.
I like to do this as a couples exercise sometimes, or even with like my friends or my teammates. Like sometimes I'll have people sit down and have you tell me what you think my worst qualities are.
No, I think that's fantastic, because when I've done this, generally they do not match up with what you think.
No.
So what somebody else will tell you does not match up with what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's great. And it hurts.
It hurts. And so what we usually do is we'll do like, you always hit the negatives and then go right into 5 positive qualities.
Yeah.
Just kind of be like, balance it out. Okay, you got hit pretty hard, but let's bring you back up, you know?
Of course. No, that's the way you should. The old crap sandwich.
But it's always a good time, for sure. I'll tell you something.
It's a struggle to do with somebody who's an introvert, though.
Really? Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Trust me.
Are you an introvert?
I am not. But I've tried this with introverts. It's really difficult.
So like someone who's like quiet and doesn't want to open up?
So you are clearly not an introvert. Like you have no I think I'll last a couple minutes. Back on video. All right, guys, if you have any questions about the podcast, if you want to find it anywhere, eventually iTunes, and when it's there, give us a 5-star rating. And if you don't want to give us a 5-star rating, that's fine. CrossFit Rife on Facebook, CrossFit Rife on Instagram, CrossFit Rife on YouTube, which is where all of these are housed in their full video format, as well as on the website, CrossFitRife.com. And if you have suggestions for us on who else should be on the podcast or what you would like us to discuss, hit us up. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Jason.